Welcome to another video on my Raspberry Pi 2 running Ubuntu Linux and also the robot operating system. Last time I started to add a light sensitive transistor from fischertechnik as a way to transfer signals from this LED to here and put that on screen, and I did that using the subscriber. When I did that, it started as high and right now it is only low. If you can see, as you can see here, this is the setup for the GPIO, and this is where I read anything and everything. So the output is going here through this wire to the input 15. And I can better lift this up so you can see this is input 15 and this wire is output 13. And now I have a little problem because two wires have left their socket, which I don't like. So that was what you get with quite a few wires. Now it is the input that has left, so that is input 11 and 7 and 9, 11, and this is the input, which is 15. The problem right now is that the wires are rather thin, so with thin wires you don't know if you get a real good connection, but also what is the voltage being transferred, because with Raspberry you need you need at least 1.5 volt to make sure that a value that one of the pins is being regarded as high. And right now there's no such thing, so I can hold it in the towards the lamp which is illuminating this scene. But as you can see, it is still being regarded as low right here. Let me stop this for a moment. Light sensor says low all the time, and that really shouldn't be. So let me start it again. Press the switch, then the LED should start. Well, that is a plus, so that still works. Means that all the wiring is correct, but still the light sensor says low. And I have used this small torch to illuminate the light. And when I do that, the light sensor sure should be showing high. And I tested it on the fischertechnik diagnosis software, which worked out properly. So here there is something not quite right. The big question is, of course, what is not quite right? Is it wiring? Is the software? I suspect a little bit that it is the wiring. So let's focus on that. So to make sure that I am getting things right, I changed this wire from the minus of the light sensor. I put a connector on it with a bent staple. What I'm now going to do first is measuring the output. So here is connector connected to the ground, multimeter set to maximum of 20 volts, and then all I have to do is measure it, and then I get a voltage of 3.3 volts. So I figure that is good. Now I cover the transistor with my thumb, and I expect that it goes lower, but it doesn't become lower, it gets to 3.2 volts. So I leave it. And it doesn't change. So how can this be? There's something that I am missing somehow. Covering it is 3.28, not covering is 3.3. That means that, wait a minute, why is this changing? I just wiggle a little bit with the wire and it got under 3 volts. Apparently a measuring mistake. Anyway, I am now putting this into pin 15. And lo and behold, it says high. Now I am covering it up and I expect it to get low, but it doesn't, which is kind of expected, because what I just measured is that covering and uncovering stays the same in voltage. So the question is, in what way do high and low distinguish each other? Apparently it's something different, but it is a light sensitive transistor, which means that it either passes or blocks a current, because a transistor is nothing but an electronic switch. So I am a little bit puzzled now on what's going on. Well, the low and the high difference is no doubt caused by this wire. So what I am going to do is change this wire. Well, this wire looks a lot more solid than the other one did. And now it says low, which is understandable because I pulled it out. Now I push it in again. I wait a bit. Does it get high again? Am I doing this right? No, I am not doing this right. It should be in here. I should put it back in the right hole, in the right position. And then unfortunately right, new attempt. That doesn't work out. Alright, one more attempt. See, it doesn't get any easier now. That's one thing in. Alright, now it should get high. With all wires attached again. I expect the signal to get high. Now it is high and low. So this wire is acting up. I have to give it the same treatment as this one with the green connector. Unfortunately, the riddles are not over yet, because right now, as you can see, the two wires coming from the light transistor, light dependent resistor, I have both given a connector, and both are now with stretch staples into the connector, which leads to the GPIO. However, as you can see here in this terminal window, the light sensor gives low, while it should be given high. So this doesn't really make sense. Now, what happens if I overrule this resistor? Let me just try and put it in here. It goes high for a moment and back to low. Now it says high. I cover up. And it stays high and goes low. Low, high, low, high. Now it's low, then it's high. And I'm not doing anything. So riddles still are not over. It shouldn't change between high and low. Not just like this. I'm just keeping it. And let me shine the little torch again. The flashlight. It says high and low once again. So that doesn't matter. So the question is, what does matter? I can of course measure the voltage right here. Right now it says 0 volts, or well, not exactly, but close to. So I'm not quite getting it. Are these correctly inserted? They can't go any further and they are sure to make contact. So that's not the point. Once again measuring on the red connector, which doesn't give anything, and once again on the other one. So what am I measuring anyway? Covering up again. I am right now quite clueless. You see the LED going on, so that is not a problem. This wiring is not a problem. Everything is wired okay as far as I can see. Yeah. Time to figure out the reason and the voltages of this sensor. What does it do and when? I think that's a very good idea. Since this doesn't make any sense at all. And now it gives low. But why? Why indeed? Alright, this test I did off camera was quite revealing. First of all, testing it on the ROS interface where it is designed for makes that here is a voltage on some 11 volts on, but the most important thing is that what I described as being high and low actually is being influenced by shining light and not light. When you shine light on it, it activates the transistor and blocks the current and voltage. So when you shine light on it, the voltage you measure on it, the voltage measured over the transistor is reduced to 0. No light on it and you get the full voltage. So when it is high, and that is the full voltage, what is high? That's a good question. Is high low and high, or is high high? Voltage on it is no light. So no light is high, which also means let's reason about this. No light on it gives high voltage. And no light and light on it gives low voltage. So when I do this, when I do this, it should actually give no voltage. Now it should be reduced to 0 voltage. like low. Blocking it should be high. And that still gives a problem in voltage. So is this actually considering the voltage that is used with the Raspberry Pi, is it sufficient to use? That is a very good question right now. On the other hand, what is the voltage range of this transistor, of the sensor? In what voltage range does it work? Yes, very good question. Shining on it should reduce to 0. Well, that's what it does. But then again, if you look right here in this terminal, shining a light, alright, and you see high passing by. High is passing by, and that should not happen. So yeah, I have my doubts that this sensor is usable here. The switch works, but that's not about it. That's about it. And this one, no use yet. Maybe I can work with electronics around it. Let's for one thing do something with the electronics again, and is that nice or not nice? Because what I did was this. The 2 poles in here, two measuring poles, and flash the light. And right now I get absolutely nothing. So alright, I press the switch. What does happen? Nothing. I could change that, of course. That might be a problem as well. If I say, okay, if it is 1, then make 13 high. I think that would be a good point, although GPIO 13 is true at all times now. So switch is not active for the light for this sensor. Would that make sense? Not right now. More thinking. Okay, after a few more off-camera tests, things don't get any clearer, so, or did not get any clearer, so I decided to measure any voltage and change some of the commands here and outputs, which means that if it is 1, well, that also remains questionable. For certain is that no lights means it lets through the voltage. With light, the voltage is blocked and you would measure 0 volts over the transistor. Question is this high or low? Well, the input on pin 15 would say, okay, it is high when there's no light, because then you pass some voltage, so that is alright. But how high should that voltage be? Because right now, when I once again put the probe into the transistor, it still measures 0 volts, and when I take the probe out of the mass and put it again in here, I expect it without light to be maximum voltage, but it says 0 volts, and with light it says 0. Now I have stopped the program. I'm going to start it again. So now the output of 13 is always true. And once again measuring shows absolutely nothing at all. And another thing I can do is measuring over these two ends, which show nothing either. And with the probes reversed, it shows nothing either. And now when I measure, on the mass, and I should not push too hard on it. Just touching it. And it did show 3.3 volts, now it shows nothing. So, what is going on? I still can't get a grip on it. Why I directly after each other probe 3.3 volts and nothing. Very, very, very odd. So I know the sensor is working, but apparently something is telling me that either here is something not quite correct, my reasoning is not quite correct, or something here is not quite correct. Which means in with this small part of the circuit, but which is which. And then you can find that debugging, finding an error, can be quite hard. And boring as well. So let's try again. Are we in luck? No luck here. No luck there. Probing once again here in the right in the sensor, and it shows absolutely nothing. And the point is, which is important to think of, right now it says 0 volts, but that doesn't mean there is no voltage. It just means that the potential difference is 0. So it might mean that on both ends is the same voltage. So therefore you have always to make a 0 point, which I have made here, then measuring, and if you get then 0 volts, or in this case 0.01 volt, then you know there's something in the circuit that's not quite correct. Alright, what can I do more? Alright, so what did I do? I changed the wiring and put these connectors on it and made sure that the connection to the GPIO is more stable. I also skipped this resistor now. I measured everything and I'm getting unstable values by experimenting with the sensor on a fischertechnik robot interface. I know that with shining a light you get 0 volts as a result, and no lights is a voltage pass. However, that doesn't explain the weird results I get from measuring. So I guess this is it for now. What I'm going to do next, in next episode, I'm not quite sure yet. There is a potential difference, of course, caused by the transistor. And yes, 11 volts and 0 volts is a bigger difference than 3.3 volts and 0 volts. However, a difference is a difference. So there should be any response. And when you look at this, it is always true, which means there's always voltage on the transistor. So I should always get something. And here you can see, without me doing anything, independent of this LED, which you see going on and off now because I am operating this switch. It is very inconsistent. For now, thank you for watching. If you like this video and my other videos, please subscribe to my channel. A video is published every day, not on the same subject, as you can watch on my blog page on my website. There you can see all the topics I make a video on, of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, etc. Robots, you name it. If you don't want to subscribe, you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Please consider to make a small donation to keep my blog alive. You won't regret it. And this is certainly to be continued. Sure and certainly. Yeah, that's it for now. Bye bye.